agent in the world. Now we talk to the new James Bond, Pierce Brosnan, about GoldenEye.
You have to tip your hat to Sean Connery. You have to tip your hat to Roger Moore. You have to look and see what turned the audience on back there in 1962. And with the script, with the producers of this film, they went back to the blueprint. And they tried to go back to a classic Bond. Now, I didn't try to emulate Connery. How can I? Connery's Connery and Brosnan's Brosnan. But you just see where the man took it and what made it work then. And then you throw that all out the window. And you have to do it as if they've never seen it before.
Thank you, Mr.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Ksenia Sergeyevna Onatop.
Onatop?
Onatop.
Your accent Georgian?
Very good, Mr. Bond. You've been to Russia?
Not recently. I used to drop in occasionally. Shoot in and out. Vodka matsuri. Shaken, not stirred. And for you?
The same.
How do you take it?
Straight up. With a twist. The director really respected the Bond tradition. And I'm a big Bond fan, so I really was looking out for that to make sure that it was still like, you know, a real Bond movie. And it is. It's made exactly in the tradition of all the old movies, and I think this one more so even than the last couple of ones have been.
Oh, grow up, 007.
I went back over the whole 17 or 16 films and thought, well, there's an awful lot that's absolutely great in these movies, so keep all those elements and then change certain other things. So I think the character of Bond remains intact, and I think there are certain other elements to the film which remain intact. I went back slightly, I think, to the Connery days in terms of the story and the narrative and so forth, and the feel of the movie. And specifically, I mean, we made M a woman. I think we made the women's parts much stronger.
You don't like me, Bond. You don't like my methods. You think I'm an accountant. A bean counter, more interested in my numbers than your instincts.
The thought had occurred to me.
Good. Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. A relic of the Cold War. Whose boyish charms, though wasted on me, obviously appeal to that young woman I sent out to evaluate you.
Point taken.
What's so fun about it is that he is politically incorrect, that he loves women, that he loves to toy with them, that he loves to flirt with them. And he still does all those things, except for, you know, now there's women who flirt back with him, or who try to kill him, or give him a hard time, or his boss is played by a woman, you know, all of those kinds of things.
What would I ever do without you?
As far as I can remember, James, you've never had me.
I think you don't change it. You don't mess with something that works. People want to see a Bond movie. He's a sexist, he's a misogynist, he's a dinosaur, he's a relic of the Cold War. Call it what you will. And they were very right and clever in paying attention to those details.
James, is it really necessary to drive quite so fast?
More often than you'd think.
I enjoy a spirited ride as much as the next girl.
Who's that?
The next girl.
How does the character you play compare to previous Bond girls?
I have to say some really absurd lines in this movie, and I have to do some really absurd things. And I think that if you start taking everything very seriously, then you're just in trouble. So I just tried to have as much fun as I could with it, you know, not take this character too seriously, realize that what kind of genre movie I was in, and that, you know, I'm playing a sort of a cartoon-esque character.
That's close enough.
Not for what I human mind.
She's undoubtedly an empowered woman, but she has peculiar idiosyncrasies, does she not?
Just a few.
Would you want to tell us what?
Oh, you mean the fact that I smoke a cigar? That's what you're trying to get at, right?
Yeah, well, that's one of the...
Yeah. No, yeah, the thigh thing.
You think you can break me?
more foreplay.
I think the humour is essential. You know, I used to love the groan lines. I don't know about you, but I used to love those awful groan lines that always used to come out. So we've got a few of those in, and Pierce handles comedy very well.
You destroy every vehicle you get into.
Standard operating procedure.
And I just thought it was essential that the elements of humour, of charm, you know, the slight self-effacing quality that Pierce has, slight James Stewart quality with the humour, which I think is wonderful. He's also very good at action.
Trust me. Working with Martin Campbell was very exciting. He, as a filmmaker, the way he tells a story was exhilarating to work on, because you'll come across a 15-page scene, an action sequence, which starts here with Bond coming in the door, shoots two guys, goes down the corridor, and he shot it absolutely in sequence. So from an actor's point of view, it was magnificent. And just this sheer excitement, just the buzz of it all, just that, you know, the crack of it all. You're up there on the wire and you could fall down. Just the sheer buzz every day, getting up, going down there, playing the man, walking down the corridors of MI6, working with Dame Judi Dench as M. You know, the music would play in your head. You couldn't help. I mean, every now and then we'd all be going, da-dun, da-dun. How does it go? Da-dun, 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 da-dun. You know, the whole crew would break into this music.
The project seems to have an enduring popularity with the public. Do you have any ideas on why that might be?
He means excitement, adventure, sex, violence, great hero, a great night's entertainment at the cinema.
Why can't you just be a good boy and die?
Now, that's one trick I've never learned.
Someday you have to make good on your innuendos.
The guy is a sexist, and that's what made him so good. That's what makes him so much fun.
That's what makes a Bond film a Bond film.
I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur, a relic of the Cold War, whose boyish charms they're wasted on me.
Fortunately, GoldenEye's leading ladies weren't shaken by the thought of starring opposite what some have called a chauvinistic character.
Why do Bond? Well, I didn't do Bond, really. I just tried to, you know, kill him.
No more foreplay.
But as to whether Bond is practicing safe sex,
We have very unsafe sex in a way, but that's just unsafe because of his life.
Trick is to quit while you're still ahead.
I wouldn't think of it.
I don't know what kind of sex he had with the other characters in the movie. I didn't discuss it with him, so I don't know if he's practicing safe sex or not. I don't know.
over the years, things have changed in Her Majesty's Secret Service. 007's boss, the mysterious M, is now a female. In addition, the girls of GoldenEye portray women with brains as well as bodies.
This Bond movie, to me, is a level above the other Bond movies in that the girls have very important parts to play.
They have been drawn really well and beautifully portrayed by Isabella Scorupco and, Famke.
But there are some time-honored traditions that are too sacred to tamper with.
These one-liners, these silly one-liners.
Shaken, not stirred. The name's Bond. James Bond.
The first time I heard him say that line was while I was screen testing, and of course, by the time I was shooting this movie, I had done the scene about 400 times already.
3, 2,
I want you to find GoldenEye.
1.
Beg your pardon. Forgot to knock.
With With GoldenEye, Pierce Brosnan becomes the 5th actor to inherit the plum role of James Bond.
When you see Pierce Brosnan, I mean, it's James Bond.
Tough when he's want to be, tender with, and all that sort of thing.
How can you act like this? How can you be so cold?
It's what keeps me alive.
No. It's what keeps you alone.
I think he's absolutely right for the part.
But before Brosnan, there was Sean Connery, then George Lazenby, then Sean Connery again. Roger Moore was next. He, in turn, was followed by Timothy Dalton, but only because Brosnan was contractually tied to his television series, Remington Steele. Looking back, that may have been a blessing in disguise.
I think there's a maturity to me now as a man, more of a maturity than there was back then. There's more courage. There's more life experience as a human being. There are certain things that I have lost which can never be gotten back. Personally in my life that I lost, that can never be gotten back.
Brosnan, of course, is speaking about his wife, Cassandra Harris, who died from ovarian cancer in 1992. Cassie had been a Bond girl opposite Roger Moore in For Your Eyes Only. Her loss made Brosnan want to portray James Bond even more.
This man is also a widower, ironically, which I can identify with.
When Bond finally came back to Brosnan in the form of GoldenEye, the whole world seemed to be watching and waiting.
They were all looking to see, is he going to deliver? That was terrifying, actually.
Well done, good job, but sorry, old boy. Everything you risked your life and limb for has changed.
It was the job we were chosen for. When I found acting or acting found me, I felt like I'd come home. You know, there's a bunch of kind of mangled, crazy misfits out there. And that's wicked, that's wild. It's unreal, I like it.
GoldenEye exists.
Yes. When I get on a plane, I go off and do a film. It's an adventure. I say goodbye to reality. I say goodbye to all the bills and, you know, whatever the problems are in my life.
Joe Don Baker says he understands Brosnan's fascination with 007.
He told me the first movie he ever saw was a Bond movie. And he says that sometimes when he's doing the scenes, he hears the Bond theme music playing in his brain in the background.
Brosnan's take on method acting came in handy during the production stage of GoldenEye. The cast and crew traveled to exotic locations like Russia, Puerto Rico, and Monaco. Outside London, a deserted airfield from World War II would be converted into a GoldenEye movie studio. That English backlot would serve as a second home to the actors who were culled from the four corners of the globe. Brosnan was born in Ireland, while Desmond Llewellyn hails from nearby Wales. Famke Janssen claims Holland is her birthplace, while Isabella Skorupko was born in Poland and raised in Sweden. Director Martin Campbell is a citizen of New Zealand, and of course, Joe Don Baker is a native of the US of A.
You can't light a cigar in Cuba without us seeing it.
What if I need backup?
Get on the radio. I'll send in the Marines.
There was a nice sense of we're all in this together, and, you know, an openness and a sincerity. And I think when you open yourself up, and that's when good work comes about.
I trusted you, Alec.
According to many critics, Brosnan could very well be speaking about himself.
I can't quite believe that people are believing that I did it. How do you do it? You do it by believing in yourself. You do it by believing in what's on the paper. You try to make it as honest, and you try to make it as sincere. You try to make it as exciting as possible.
The trick is to quit while you're still ahead.
That's one trick I've never learned. Perhaps you'll show me how it's done. I've never known where my career's going. You never do. It's always just been a pleasant surprise, this kind of carpet that unfurls before me. And if you allow yourself the freedom to be open to it, then things happen.
Bond. Only Bond.
Don't push it and don't strive for it. Don't reach for it. Just stand there and keep it simple and say the goddamn lines. Get off. Do you know how to use one of these?
Yes.
Good.
Do you know how to use one of these? Obviously not.
Action films are a staple for many male moviegoers, but Bond pictures have historically had broader appeal. Call it sex appeal.
I think most women like or lust after Bond.
He's maybe a little bit too flirty for my taste.
I've never seen you after hours, Moneypenny. Lovely.
Thank you, James.
Well, I have to admit, I shouldn't say that, but I don't think I would ever fall in love with a person as James Bond, because I really want my boyfriend to be, you know, faithful.
I think that maybe most of the time, you know, women just like the fantasy of you know, maybe being with a man like that for a few hours or something.
That may include on-screen hours as Bond's love interest.
It must be strange for a man knowing that your woman goes to work and she kisses Bond during, I mean, at 12 o'clock, and then she goes home and she tells you that she was just pretending. It's kind of strange because you're supposed to be in love with the person you actually don't know, but that's what acting is about.
Sometimes acting includes a shot at driving exotic cars. This time, Bond's vehicle of choice is a never-before-seen convertible BMW.
Yeah, I got to drive the BMW, too. That was a bomb. That's a real speed machine.
What is it with you moving vehicles?
Although Brosnan and Baker were filmed at the wheel, Desmond Llewellyn admits he was quite content staying behind.
We don't have an old man driving a car like that. I mean, it wouldn't last a minute. Well, police, whatever you call them over here, they'd say, oi, you know.
But it isn't Bond's car Llewellyn is lusting after.
You're asking an old man now, but I mean, if you were asking a young one, I'd like his ability to attract women like flies.
Well, he probably got a ton of children. Everywhere. England, everywhere he's ever been, he's probably got children all over the place.
For Brosnan, Bond's appeal is that he's never shaken or stirred.
I wouldn't mind having his kind of coolness.
Get the sound from here!
I'm a little tied up. Brosnan tends to get a lot more, you know, Irish and emotional. In a certain situation, I'll just fly off the handle, you know, and just the words come right out of my mouth, and then I put my foot in it.
But when all is said and done, the work speaks for itself.
I believe I've done a good job. I've given it my best shot. And I've laid the foundation there. We have laid the foundation there for a new beginning.